Hello, everyone. It is great to be here with all of you today. You guys should be able to see my screen right now. My name is Corey Meredith. I am the marketing team leader here at UMortgage, and today I am joined by Nate Fain. I feel like I'm with a star, the one and only TikTok influencer, even though you don't like being called an influencer. Tell me why.
I don't know. I just hate that term. I don't know. When I think of influencer, I think of like I don't know, like a younger chick, like like a really hot chick that's like selling something. That's just not me, you know. I think of like the Instagram models, and I'm far from an Instagram model, you know.
I feel that. I feel that. But we are here to kind of break that stigma today. So, talking over how some real estate agents, loan originators, anyone on this call is able to utilize TikTok as a platform to grow their reach and infold grow their business. So, Nate, I'm not going to stay on this entire presentation since you are the subject matter expert here, but I will let you quickly introduce yourself and then we can get started. How's that sound?
Cool. My name is Nate Fain. I am a mortgage loan officer, have been for about 10 years. I am with UMortgage, and I guess I'm talking because about 4-ish years ago, I started making videos to help increase my reach and help increase my business. And in 2020, TikTok came along in my world, and I started creating videos on TikTok and Instagram and even YouTube, and saw my business it increased quite a bit.
Absolutely. So I'll let you dive into a little bit more about yourself and jump into the presentation, but I'll quickly give an overview of the agenda. And then, as I mentioned, I will depart from this video and watch behind the screens because I'm going to take some notes myself as well. But as Nate mentioned, he does have over 250,000 followers on TikTok. So trust me, you're going to want to listen to what he has to say. He knows a thing or two about the platform. In 2022, he was able to bring in $50,000 of gross income from TikTok leads alone in 6 months only. And then in 2021, he generated $100,000 in gross income, from TikTok leads, which is absolutely insane. And then started content creation with short form marketing videos on Facebook in 2018. So I'm sure we'll dive into all of that. But first, we're going to go through some of the agenda talking points. So today, what we'll cover. Again, we did a little bit about Nate. We'll jump into the basics of TikTok and where you guys can get started. Some tips on growing your own audiences, how you can leverage TikTok as a lead funnel. And then finally, we'll open it up with connecting with your community and for any questions at the end. So Nate, I'm going to depart and I'm going to pass it over to you.
Sweet. Appreciate it. And it's important to note that even though this presentation is geared towards TikTok, a lot of this information, there's going to be a lot of generalities with marketing in general and social media marketing in general and social media in general. I'll get into some of the nuts and bolts of specifically TikTok, but you can take a lot of the information that I'm giving out here and you can use it on Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, LinkedIn, YouTube, even some of these on YouTube. There's a lot of just basic video marketing in there as well, and social media marketing in there as well. So to really dumb it down, there is basically 2 parts that go into any kind of social media marketing success. The first one is being content creation. So when we speak of content creation with TikTok, obviously we're talking about short form videos. With YouTube, Instagram, we're talking about videos as well. Instagram has picture marketing, I guess you would call it. And then there's also some written marketing that you can get into like on Facebook. But most of what we're going to talk about today is specifically geared towards TikTok and videos. Content strategy, we're going to talk mostly about video content strategy. There is a whole separate discussion when it comes to just written marketing. And then when you put those 2 things together and they get married and have a baby, then you have TikTok success. So we're going to talk a little bit about the creation side, which is one of the things that I get the most questions about is what do I talk about? Who do I talk to? And then also talk about the strategy, just the overall flow, how often you should be posting, what plays well on TikTok and Instagram and what doesn't necessarily play well on Instagram. And hopefully when you combine those 2, you'll get some success. And there we go. All right, so there's two trains of thought. Most of the time when you think of TikTok, a lot of people are going to immediately jump to trends. They're going to be talking about trending sounds. They're going to be talking about trending music. They're going to be talking about just what I call like inside jokes of TikTok. So there's like a whole subculture on TikTok almost. And trends, a lot of people immediately they say, well, I don't know how to make trends and relate it back to my niche. The good news is like you don't have to dance, you don't have to do some of these crazy trends. You can actually make original content as well if that's more of your jam. In my opinion, a healthy mix of both is a great way to not only grow on TikTok but also nurture your audience. So think of following trends and creating content around trends. Think of that as you going out there and casting this wide net to try to go and find your people, go and find your audience. Whereas original content, it's mostly to nature and mostly to that relationship. It's to build more on that relationship, and it's to start introducing yourself as the authority figure of whatever your niche is. You'll start to use original content to show that you know what you're talking about and connect to people and like show a little bit of your personality. You can show a little bit of your personality with trends. It's a little bit harder because most of the time with trends, you're not actually speaking. So believe it or not, your voice has a lot of power when you're coming up with video marketing. It's not just all about dancing, and which I don't dance. It's not all about dancing. It's not all about lip dubs. It doesn't have to just be that. It's a great way to grow your following because you're playing TikTok's game. But to really start to nurture those relationships and to get actual leads, it's important to create some original content and engage with your followers. Next slide. All right, so growing your audience, we touched on it just very briefly. There's the way to grow it quickly is the trends. That's a very good way to grow it quickly. If you're just now getting into content creation, if you're trying to make some original content, you may see a little bit of a slower growth up as you're learning to create content. It is inherently easier to grow a little bit of a following by using these trends because that's what people go onto TikTok to look for at this point. However, there's a lot of research and a lot of studies and data out there that TikTok is starting to age up. So what I mean by that is that it started, what, 3-4 years ago, and it was mostly just for teenagers, and they were dancing and singing and all this stuff. And like any other social media platform, what happens is it starts with young folks, and then it starts to age its way up. So something that's really cool that's happening with TikTok right now is the searchability is becoming more and more important. When I speak searchability, I mean people are actually going on TikTok to learn about stuff. It's not 100% just for entertainment like it was 2 years ago. The platform is aging up. So the good news is you don't necessarily have to always play TikTok's game to grow your audience and create this audience. You can actually just focus on speaking to like the adults and the serious side if you want to. I get a lot of people that say, well, I don't really have your sense of humor. I don't have your creativity. That's fantastic. What you can also do is just talk about your area of expertise. You don't have to be super entertaining. You don't have to be funny. It's gotten to the point now, and we're still really early in this game of, yes, the searchability is becoming more and more important, but that's just going to keep becoming more and more important. We're still in the very early stages of TikTok. I mean, think about it, like some of you haven't even downloaded this. It's just going to keep growing. But let's say not everybody on here is like a loan officer or a real estate agent. I know that, but that's what most of my audience is probably going to be. So you're going to have to take some of these tidbits and you're going to have to relate it back to your niche. So what I encourage realtors to do is to start making some hyper local content. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're in Pensacola, Florida, like I am. Make some content about real estate, tell people how to buy and sell real estate, educate them, but then also it's important to make some hyper local content because the algorithm will then go and find the audience that likes that hyper local content. So it's going to be hard for, let's say, since I'm in Pensacola, Florida, I mean, someone in Wyoming isn't necessarily going to find my hyperlocal content as appealing, but that's not important because as a realtor, like most of my base is going to be in my hyperlocal market. So I have the advantage being a loan officer. I'm licensed in several states. So this doesn't necessarily apply to me as much, but for realtors, or if you have like a actual brick and mortar shop that you're wanting to advertise, make sure you're making some hyperlocal content so that local people are seeing your content. TikTok actually has this feature now where you can add the location, which is cool because the algorithm inherently, like, they're going to show that content to more local people closer to that location. Really cool feature that came out, and I really encourage you, especially if you are running a business that is hyperlocal like that, to use that feature. Some examples of creating some hyperlocal content would be like sharing what your favorite pizza place is in your city, sharing some fun things to do on the weekend, or some well-known events for your city. So for instance, like in Pensacola, we have the Blue Angels. So every once in a while, I'll make some content focused around the Angels, or I'll talk Blue Angels so that it relates to that local market and they feel that connection because they feel like I'm part of their community, which I am. And it's important to establish that connection. That's all we're doing with any kind of social media marketing, is we're taking non-personal connections like internet connections, and we are making them into actual personal connections. One of the main things that I see people do is that they go and post and then they don't engage. We'll get to this here in a minute, but it's important to engage with your following so that you can help nurture those relationships and grow your following. But when we talk about hyperlocal content and videos that relate to your local community, it wouldn't make sense. Let's say I'm an attorney that is based out of Los Angeles. They're not necessarily going to show their Los Angeles based firm. They're not going to show a commercial for that in Pensacola, Florida, unless they are trying to create a pipeline from Pensacola, Florida to Los Angeles. But by and large, they're going to take that those advertisements that they're creating, and they're going to show it on the local TV stations in Los Angeles. It's the same kind of concept. Like, you want to find the hyper local people, especially if you have a hyper local business. The whole point is to try to connect on a personal level. That helps when you're making relatable content and you're connecting on a personal level. People feel like they're more part of something, and when they feel like they're more part of something, you become more relevant and relatable, and the more relevant and relatable you are, the more your watch time goes up. And watch time is the most important analytic of all the analytics and all the stats that you can get from TikTok or any other social media platform. It is all about watch time. People want to focus on likes and views and comments and shares, but inevitably what drives all of that is watch time. So getting people to A, stop what they're doing and stop scrolling and watch your video, and then B, keep watching your video. That's the two really the most important things in video marketing, especially with its short form marketing like TikTok. Get them to stop scrolling and keep their attention, and then relate it back to them. But the more you do that, the more trustworthy you become. I've had people come up to me, complete strangers, and they know me locally because of some of this hyper-local content that I've made. I also know people all over the nation from my non-local content that I make, because I have the ability to do that since I am not nailed down to a specific area. If you're nailed down to a specific area, do not neglect that hyper-local content. Next slide. All right, so I hate calling it this, but it is what it is. TikTok or any kind of social media, think of it like the top of your lead funnel. This can serve as the top of your lead funnel. So number one, you're building awareness. You're building brand awareness. People are learning who you are just by seeing your face, hearing your voice, reading your comments, if you're on Instagram or even TikTok, watching your stories. So you're creating some awareness. So first of all, like, who are you? Second of all, you need to engage. That is, I've touched on this earlier, but that is one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, is that they work so hard on this content, they work so hard on making it relatable, they post it, and then they do what's called a post and ghost. So they post it, but then they don't engage in talk to their community, talk to their followers, talk to their network that they are building. When you do that, it looks a little self-centered, and folks don't really react to that very well. So again, the whole point of doing this is to create human connections. I'd be lying if I told you like I have 250,000 human connections. It doesn't feel that way, but I really, really try to engage and either like or reply back to almost every single comment I get. Now, if there's something that I can't really comment back, or if it's like a troll or something like that, a lot of times I'll just ignore it or delete it, or sometimes even block them, depending on how much they touched a nerve. But overall, one of the things that sets a really good creator with a subpar creator but bad networker, I guess that's a word now, networker, is their ability to engage. It's important to engage in your own content, but also go out and find other people that are in your niche and create that online community and engage in their content too. Go comment on their content. I've gotten comments before that from realtors and loan officers, and even just people say, dude, like, I see your comments everywhere. And when I'm really on my A game, it's because I'm scrolling through my feed just like anybody else, and I am commenting as well. That helps create yet another relationship and just yet another way that someone can see my name and see what I have to say about something. So at the top, you've got the awareness, you've got the engagement, and then third, hopefully your customer will take action. But it's really hard to get to number 3 if you're not doing 1 and 2. That's just how the funnel works. All right, next slide. All right, Linktree. So you don't necessarily have to use Linktree. There are other there's other services that provide this. The way that I use Linktree is I use this as my landing page. You can actually build out a website if you're into that, or if you already have an existing website. But I have a link in my bio and a link in my bio in TikTok and even in Facebook, Instagram. I reference this link, and it is a link that a possible customer can click, and they can go see all kinds of other stuff that I have to offer, all of this value that I have to bring to them. So like for instance, I've got a rate quote where someone can fill out something if they want to get a rate quote. If they want to go ahead and get pre-approved, they can do that. They can book a call for me, or they can go watch more of my content. And one of the things that I learned here recently is it's not good enough to just say, where my links say shopping for a rate, ? Click here. You need to identify the problem and then give a call to action for the solution. Let's talk, click to book a call. Looking for more in-depth content, here's my new YouTube channel. So I'm telling these people, first of all, why they should click there, and then second of all, reinforcing that they should click there, especially if they're looking for that particular type of content or whatever action that they're looking for there. Let's see. It's also great for data collection. So if you're wanting to create some type of newsletter or any other kind of like data collection, I know a lot of realtors, they'll put something out there and it says, hey, for a free value estimate, or see what your house is worth. This is something that you can put on your link tree right here. So that's yet another way for you to collect data, because believe it or not, and like it or not, the way that the world is moving, whoever has the most data is going to win in business. All right, next slide. All right, so ultimately you have to create some kind of routine to where you are actively on social media, whether it be TikTok or Instagram. You have to create some kind of routine where you are doing your research, whether that be you're looking at other trending content or you're looking for more ideas. That is you actually consuming content and also looking at your analytics. That's one step that a lot of people they skip. But while you're scrolling through, I tell this to some of my friends, and it's kind of sad. But I've told them that, like, since I've gotten into this creator mode, I don't really scroll through TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. I don't do that like for fun or pleasure anymore. At this point, I do that to try to get the creative juices flowing and to try to find some ideas or try to find something that will trigger some kind of idea that I can then make of my own version of it, or whatever it may be, or just something that will help trigger some inspiration. So it's really important that you are scrolling through your FYP, you are scrolling through your newsfeed, you are scrolling through any apps. You're looking for trends and you're looking for possible ideas that you can relate back to your niche. Then you need to set apart some time to engage. We talked about that. Engage on your comments, answer DMs, things like that. Also comment on other videos. We talked about that. Here's the hard one. Create. So one of the biggest pushbacks that I get is, I don't know what to talk about. I think we as a whole, if you do something for a living, you forget just how much your ideal client does not know about what you do. So one of the biggest hesitations that I hear from other industry professionals like myself is like, I don't really want to make a video about X because it's really obvious. And I always come back and say, is it really obvious to you, or is it really obvious to your possible customer? Is it really obvious to other industry professionals? Because you have to keep in mind, when you create content, you are not creating content to relate back to other industry professionals. If you are trying to find customers, so like when I create content, I don't necessarily do it for other loan officers. I don't really care what other loan officers think of my content. If you're a realtor, you shouldn't really care what other realtors think of your content. You should care about what the general population thinks of your content. So really take the next few weeks and really take inventory and take note of the conversations that you have with your clients, with your possible customers. Really take inventory of the questions that you are answering, and you're going to start to see some patterns. So what you can do at that point is you can start building out this catalog of content, and it's going to be all these frequently asked questions. You're going to, if you're in real estate, you're going to talk about earnest money deposit. You're going to talk about down payment, closing costs. You're going to talk about inspections. You're going to talk about this, that, and the other. I mean, you've got so many things. Think of all the questions that you answer on a regular basis. Start writing them down, and then make a short 15 to minute long video about that concept. Be concise. Don't be super wordy. And learn how to edit on a very basic level. And if you don't know how to do that, or if you don't want to do that, then you can go find an editor on Fiverr. You can find some for $5-10 for every TikTok. If you're going to do two or three of those a week, then that's really, in the grand scheme of the thing, that's really not that much money. But one of the things that I like to use to help edit is, first of all, TikTok and Instagram. You can, for by and large, like if you are just talking to the camera, you can edit in those apps, just native in those apps. You can use those to edit your content. It's very user friendly. But if you want something a little bit more robust, I recommend an app called CapCut, CapCut. Or there's also Splice, there's also InShot, and then there's also some big boy and big girl editing software called Adobe Premiere Pro, and then there's Final Cut Pro, which is an Apple-based product. But it's gonna take some time for you to learn how to create. And the most important thing when you are creating a video, the most important thing, remember we talked about getting them, first of all, to stop scrolling. Second of all is to keep watching. So to get them to stop scrolling, the thing that you want to focus on the most when you are creating content is you want to focus on what's called the hook. The hook is 1 to 2 sentences long. It piques some interest from the client, from the possible client, and it tells you about kind of what the video is going to be about. But it piques their interest enough to get them to stop scrolling. So an example would be if I was going to talk about FHA loans. It's important to use the word you in your hook so that you are relating back to that person watching and they think that you are talking to them. So one of the things that I could say if I'm doing a video on an FHA loan, and I said, I bet you didn't know this about an FHA loan. And then I can go into some obscure guideline about an FHA loan that could possibly help someone, but I challenged them up front with that hook. I related it back to them by saying you. It was short and sweet and told you about what the video was going to be about, and it hopefully piqued their interest. Something simple like that. Once we get off this call and you're doing this, just Google good social media hooks, good video hooks, and you're going to see a template, and there's going to be several dozen of hooks that you can use and then plug in those keywords that are from your specific niche. So take those hooks, start using those hooks. The last thing that you want to do is to start your video explaining who you are. So don't start off saying, hey guys, it's Nate. I'm a loan officer from U Mortgage, and I'm here to talk to you about FHA loans. Nobody's going to listen to that. Nobody. I wouldn't even listen to that, and it's my own voice. So create the hook, create and spark and pique interest, and then later you can introduce yourself, and you're going to verify who you are and show that your opinion and what you're about to say is valid because you have some level of expertise, but do that after your hook. Last piece is interacting. We talked a little bit about that already, but interact with other videos from other industry creators. So again, it's also networking. You never know when you'll get a referral back from them. It's establishing human relationships on the internet. All right, next slide. All right, let me get to my notes on this one. This is the one we bring it all home here. Hold on, Corey.
Yeah, I'm going to come back in on this one because I want to encourage anyone on the call, though, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat and we will read them out loud and have an answer. We don't have any just yet, but that doesn't mean that they aren't brewing.
So here, I wanted to take this time to go over some of the top mistakes that I see, and then also give you, because inevitably, and I've already said this, but I cannot say it enough, but like the biggest pushback I get is I don't know what to talk about. So let's start with some of the mistakes I see, and I'm guilty of these as well. The hardest part about doing this is staying consistent. So realistically, you need to be posting consistently, whether that be once a week, whether that be once a day, whether that be 2 or 3 times a day. You have to figure out like what you have time for, but you really need to stick to some kind of schedule. So I've heard it likened to, back when we all watched live TV, everybody knew that Friends came on Saturday night at 6 p.m. They just know that they could count on that. It's the same kind of thing. So like some of the best creators out there have a set schedule of when they upload. So even if you're filming it well in advance, then you're still uploading it about the same time. You've got a nice set posting schedule, and that's so important to do it, not only to keep the creative juices flowing, but to keep that positive momentum flowing. And the more content you create, the better chance that one of them is going to pop off or one of them is going to resonate with a potential client and come back to you. So top mistakes, not being consistent enough, being too long-winded. Remember, we are giving someone the Cliff Notes version of whatever we are talking about. You can go engage with people if they're asking questions in the comment section. You can go engage with them and answer those questions in the comment section, or even better, you can reply with a video, or you can just go through your comment section, and that's where all your content lives. You could probably make 5 pieces of content this next week and get enough comments on it to last you for the next month. All you do is make a video based upon that question that you get in the comment section. So content is unlimited. Another thing that I do to help with any kind of content block that I have, if you see me doing this, then you're gonna see this. You're like, oh, Nate's ran out of his creative juices. I go through the alphabet, and you've heard me talk about this before, Corey, I think. But like, I start in the alphabet and I go through industry terms A to Z. I list them out and I start making a video on each term. So A, in my industry, A could be for appraisals or application or whatever. And then I make a 15 to 30, 45-second video on what an appraisal is. Again, just enough to be dangerous, just enough to show that you know what you're talking about, but also you're giving value because you're explaining what an appraisal is. Then just work your way through the alphabet. Inevitably, what's going to happen is that you're going to start getting comments, your creative juices are going to start flowing, and then the content bus just keeps rolling and it really gets kicked up to a high gear. I mean, it can go very quickly after that. Once you start building that positive momentum, you start going downhill.
Definitely. We got a lot of questions, so I'm going to cut you off real quick to start
Go for
asking away. So one of the questions is, what is the importance of finding your own voice or style on the platform? And also, what is the actual reason that you use characters besides the fact that they're fun?
All right, so with the character thing, I'm gonna give y'all a little secret. I don't enjoy the characters that much, but I've polled people in my real life, so I get feedback from my friends, family, coworkers, even clients. Sometimes I say, hey, like, what piece of content really resonates with you? Because that's, I mean, it's really humbling, and it's a really cool thing, like when you meet someone and they tell you what piece of content that you made that really stuck out with them and really resonated with them. What's been happening more and more is that a lot of people really love the characters and the skits. I personally, like, don't get me wrong, they're fun to make, but I get a lot of enjoyment out of other types of content. What I do really enjoy about the characters and the skits is writing it. I don't love filming it. I don't love editing it because, like, I mean, I'm putting a wig on. You know what I mean? It's a little outside my comfort zone, but I really do love the writing piece of that. What was the first part of that question? Oh,
The
how do you find
importance
your
of
voice?
finding your own voice. Yeah.
So a quote that absolutely changed the way that I see all of this and changed my business. I heard this and I have no idea who said it or where I read it or whatever. But this was 3-4 years ago, when I decided to start really buckling down and really being serious about videos. Someone said your vibe attracts your tribe. So, and what that means to me is that you can go and be yourself. And I think being your authentic self is becoming more and more important in today's world, especially like on TikTok and Instagram. It's less curated and more authenticity. It's something that we're all craving right now. So me being myself and showing off my sometimes goofy personality or whatever, that helps attract in my ideal client. If you attract your ideal client that inherently, like, they automatically trust you, your life is going to be so much easier. It is so much easier for me to keep that client on the hook and calm and relaxed, and they will take my professional advice seriously if they already trust me. And they already trust me because they were attracted to my personality.
Yep. In terms of content too, the next question is, should I mix education and entertainment?
100%. So no matter what show value, whether that be entertainment value or whether that be educational value. So obviously mortgages are boring. Like, I get bored talking about mortgages. So that's another reason that I do the characters as well, is it is a way to entertain myself a little bit, to see, like, all right, how can I come up with a character, build out this storyline, and make this less boring? How can I, and that's the feedback that I continuously get about the skits and about a lot of my content in general, is like, you make the topic of mortgages less boring, which was the whole point of me trying to do, and it is the highest compliment that I can get. So that's really what I try to do, is to make it, if you can do it to where it's entertaining, relatable, and educational, that is the recipe for a video that is going to do not only very well on views, but also drive in a lot of traffic. But you don't necessarily have to do all three in one video. It's really hard to do all three in one video. It's possible, but no matter what, either educate, entertain, yeah, it's got to fall in one of those two buckets.
So yes, do both. The next question is, do you need to have captions and emojis on all of your videos?
So captions, there's a lot of studies out there. Are we talking about like,
Like subtitle captions.
yeah. So the captions, there's a lot of studies out there that say that people will pay attention to your video more if there are captions and there's subtitles. I thought that for years. I personally find them extremely distracting, but that is not what the general public likes. The general public likes captions. It's important also when you're doing all this to market to yourself. So think about like put yourself in your clients, your audience's shoes and think, okay, like what would I want to watch? But it's also important to remember that just because you like it doesn't mean everybody else will. So that all that to say, like with those captions, like I fought the caption game for so long because I hate it. I thought it made my content look messy. I thought it distracted away from my actual message. When in reality, that's just my brain. That's just me. The percentage wise, and generally speaking, like people like the captions. So you can go find a captions app. There's actually a caption service in Instagram and TikTok to where they'll add the subtitles on there already. You can go back and edit those, but it's really not that hard to do it. As far as like the actual caption, like what I would call almost like the title of the video, I think that that's another way for you to show your personality. So whether you make a funny caption or even if you make it to where it's searchable. So how to get pre-approved for a mortgage, something like that. So either make it searchable or make it entertaining. It's the same kind of concept to where I said to either show value by educating or show value by entertaining. So your caption, I would 100% always have some kind of caption or title of your video and either make it entertaining or show some value and have some educational stuff in there.
Definitely. One more thing to add with the subtitles as well is that so TikTok generally is a video platform, right? We all know that. So you know you're going to have your sound on when you listen to that platform. But one of the benefits of adding subtitles to your videos is that now you have content for cross social promotion. So if you wanted to upload that TikTok video as a reel, Instagram is more of a visual app versus a video app. So looking at reels, now you have that benefit of adding, more watch time to those videos because people could read them if they aren't necessarily listening with their sound on. So just to extend that content a little further.
And back when I used to do content and social media classes before TikTok, one of the goals that I had for folks is that first of all, get them to stop scrolling. Second of all, get them to turn their sound on. What is so powerful about TikTok and even kind of what Instagram is turning into is that people are starting with their sound on because they want to hear what is said in the videos. And you cannot, like, it is hard to describe just how powerful that is, specifically with TikTok, is that people are going in with their sound on. That's huge.
Yep. Okay, the next question is, does using trending audio increase your reach?
There's a lot of debate about that. But I personally, there's a lot of studies that have come out here recently. I personally don't necessarily do that anymore. When TikTok was early and Instagram Reels was early on in the process, that was a little bit more important. And remind me to come back to that and just tell me to go to the music charts when we're done with this. So you can use those trending sounds. It doesn't necessarily, it's not going to help you have the amount of reach that you used to. That used to be a thing. Like, hey, like you'll get better reach if you use a trending sound. But there's a lot of marketers out there now that say TikTok is actually pushing original sounds more. So if you're making a trend, use a trending sound. I don't necessarily see a lot of value in having a trending sound in the background if you're just going to be talking over it. So don't get super stressed out about the sounds. And then as far as the music goes, one of my little secrets that I had is that TikTok and Instagram, they're changing the way that we find music. They are influencing the music industry as a whole. So one thing that I like to do is to go to the music charts. When I see a song that's starting from the bottom and starting to go up, I will try to then incorporate that song on TikTok or Instagram, assuming that sound is there, because that has not quite hit like the virality part of TikTok or Instagram yet. It is just now a new song that's being introduced. Eventually, TikTok and Instagram will find it. But what I try to do is I try to get in early on that so that I can, I mean, sometimes I've even created a trend or two by doing that. But that's one little hack that I've got is watch the music charts, listen to the listen to the little snippets of it, see if there's a way that you can relate it back to your niche to possibly get out in front of a trend.
I love that tip. This is a great question. It says, can I do these videos without talking, using the text on the videos and pointing to them? This reminds me of someone. Does it remind you of that same person?
Ariel does that all the time.
Yep.
She absolutely murders it by doing that. I don't do it, but she is a great writer. And she literally does that. She'll have some kind of trending sound and she'll have her message, and it's a lot of times it's just her pointing. She doesn't like dance around or anything, but she points all the time. If you are not comfortable, that is a great like gateway drug into doing content creation. You're getting your face on camera, so that's a start. The next start is for you to get your voice on camera. I would still love to see you get your voice on camera, but if you're just not feeling that day, I mean, I know Ariel was sick one time and she didn't have a voice and she was pointing. So she does that a lot. So she was still able to post because her audience was already used to her just pointing sometimes.
Yeah, for the person who asked that question, if you want to check out Ariel's channel, it's at VA Lone Lady. You can get some inspiration on how she's doing that and see if you can replicate that as well. Jumping into the next question, has Instagram been as successful for you? Have you compared what your growth is in income versus IG and TikTok? And do you prefer one over the other?
Instagram, I have not, I had Instagram back, I've had Instagram for 10 years now. So Instagram has changed a lot. I would have treated Instagram differently if I had downloaded Instagram, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago when I downloaded TikTok. I would have treated Instagram differently from the beginning if they were really pushing out video content. So by the time TikTok came out, I had already gotten my feet wet in short form content. So TikTok really just played into my strength there. If Instagram had come out with Instagram Reels first, I probably would have had more successful in that first. I am still seeing quite a bit of success, relatively speaking, on Instagram. I think I'm just shy of 7,000 followers, which, a year or two ago, before I was, posting any videos, I think I had like 1,000. So that's one of my goals of Q3, Q4, and going forward is to post a little bit more on Instagram. I get a lot more direct messages on Instagram than I do with TikTok, but I probably get more leads from TikTok at this point. But a lot of that is just like a numbers game too, because I have 200 and something thousand followers on TikTok and I've got 6,900 on Instagram.
Yeah, I would say the nature of the platforms are very different too. I mean, maybe not anymore because Instagram is quickly changing into more of a TikTok vibe. But as its origination, TikTok obviously was leaning on that authenticity that everyone has, whereas Instagram was really leaning into like the picture perfect lifestyle that people were acting like they had. So
Yep.
I think the nature of those platforms also lend to the success versus one over the other.
100%.
Nice. Next question. What kind of schedule do you use for your content or video creation?
So when I'm on my A game, I'm in the middle of transitioning over to U Mortgage, and we're helping building whatever it is we're building, this cool crazy hybrid model that we've got going on. So when I'm on my A game, I really I film 2 or 3 at a time. So like I've got notebooks like scattered all over my life. Like I've got a notebook in my golf bag. I've got a notebook in my truck. I've got a notebook right next to on my nightstand at my house. I've got a notebook in my desk. I've got notebooks all over the place to where like if a idea comes to me, I build it out right there. Not all the way, but I get, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. Here's some bullet points so I can come back to that. And then in a perfect world, what I would do is I would set aside an hour or two and I would start typing out those scripts and come up with ideas. And then I would spend the next hour or two filming that out. And then I would edit it. So you have to find the flow that works for you. But like what I would tell people is to Never assume that you are going to remember an idea. I have made that mistake a million times. Write it down. I'm 35 years old. I'm not that old, but I still forget it. Write it down. And it would be best if you did time block and kind of mass create this content and then slowly drip it out. When I was doing a lot of content back in 2020 and really growing my TikTok, I was posting one in the morning, I was posting one at noon, and I was posting one in the evening. My strategy was I was going to make someone laugh with the morning one. I was going to do a trending one in the middle of the day, and then I was going to hit them hard with facts at the end of the day. So that was my flow. You have to find your flow, because ultimately you have to find your flow that makes you want to keep creating content as well. The last thing that I want anybody to do is to burn themselves out or create content that they don't enjoy creating.
This actually is a perfect segue into the next question, because they said, or they asked, what is your recommendation for consistency for someone just getting started? So would it be that same message of like, don't burn out, but have enough juice in the tank to get through?
I think one of the biggest problems that people have when they start going down this path is that they create a video and they post it automatically. What I think a lot more people would have, they would get a little bit more minimum, is if they went and they filmed their first 5 videos. Film your first 5. Do not post them all at the same time. Start dripping them out, building some positive momentum. Whereas like if you fly by the seat of your pants, like, hey, I'm going to make a video about that. You film the video and you post it, like, okay, well now what? Whereas like if you are constantly in this like creator mode to where you're like, all right, here's my 5, and then you can kind of get the ball rolling, versus like doing one and then stopping, doing one and then stopping. That's really hard to catch momentum doing that unless you are a very, very creative person. So taking some inventory and really looking at yourself and having some self-awareness, like, I am blessed that I'm that creative. I can do that. Not a lot of people can. So if you are not a super creative person, or if you're finding yourself struggling, like, I don't know what to talk about, plan out 5 videos, film, and then slowly post those, and then build off of that from there.
Great. This is a twofold question. So the first part is, what are some LO topics that have gotten the most engagement on your channels? And then how long did it take you to grow your following?
Whew. As far as the growing the following thing, my story is a little different. I downloaded TikTok in February of 2020, and I think my first video I got like 70 something thousand views, and it was so simple. I said, you're from Florida, if you can drive in this, and then the camera flips back to the front and it's just pouring rain. Windshield wipers going as fast as you can. Then the camera flips back to me. I says, but you freak out if it gets below 32 degrees. Like, here in Florida, we legitimately, like, the news stops if it gets below 32 degrees. They call it a freeze warning. Like, up north they have, this is a winter storm warning. Like, no, we have a freeze warning. It's not that anything is going to freeze necessarily. It's just that it's going to get that cold. So that did really well. It brought in a lot of Florida people. Again, that was hyper local content because it entertained folks that were in Florida. It was relatable to people that were in Florida. I wanted to bring in a Florida audience because I'm in Florida. That's one of the states that I do a lot of business in. So I did that. I got like 70 something thousand views in the first couple, 3 weeks. And I was like, this is wild that it got that much. So I made a couple more videos, and then I think my 3rd or 4th video popped off for, I think, is it like 4 million now. So I posted that, woke up the next morning. It had like, well, before I went to bed, it had like 10,000 views. It's like, this is great, like 10,000 views. Hopefully I'll wake up to a few more in the morning or whatever. And when I woke up, and some people have heard this story, but this is like my coming of age story. So like, I woke up and I hadn't turned off the notifications for my TikTok yet. And so I woke up and I had pages and pages of notifications, and I woke up to either, I think it was 20 or 20,000 followers, overnight. So I had that like overnight success, but then I was kind of like, I don't know what to do with all this. But I say that, and this always sounds horrible when I say this, but I mean this in the nicest way possible. You need to understand that that's probably not going to happen for you, and that is completely okay. If you had told me in 2020 that I had 5,000 people on TikTok, like, I would be like, dude, that's incredible that I got 5,000 people to like that number does not matter. I know people who have less than 10,000 followers and they still do a ton of business from TikTok or Instagram or whatever. Like, that number is not how I measure success. It's more about the relationships that I form and the conversations that I'm able to start.
Yeah. I'm only going to hit on a couple more questions here just because we're about 20 minutes over time anyway. So note to self for next time to allow more time for questions. But this
I
question
was worried we were going to go too fast.
I know. What do you think about hashtags and how do you use them in TikTok?
So the beauty and the frustrating thing about all of this is all of these fundamentals and all of these things are constantly changing as the app and any kind of platform changes. So early on, the hashtags you would try to catch like a popular hashtag, and that would tell the algorithm like, oh, this must be a popular video because it's about a popular hashtag. Now it's a little bit more important. Like, hashtag tells the algorithm what the video is about, but it also, at this point in TikTok's lifespan, it's becoming more and more important if you use a hashtag that it is relatable to the video so that people, when they are searching something, they can find your video. So if I'm using like a hashtag mortgage, like, that tells people like, hey, I want to go learn about mortgages. I can go search mortgage on TikTok. Hopefully some of my videos pop up. Things like that. I don't put a huge stress on hashtags. If you look back at my analytics, I don't get a lot of views from my hashtags, so I don't stress about that as much as a lot of other people. But if you are going to use hashtags, most of the advice that I see is to use somewhere between 2 to 4 relevant hashtags, and that goes for Instagram and TikTok. I think the CEO of Instagram came out recently and said, don't put 20 or 25, just put in between 4 and 5 relevant hashtags.
Last question.
Okay.
So should you switch your account to a business account and add a hyperlink?
You can. One of the cool things about having like a business account, you might also look and see if there's if you have the availability to have what's called a creator account. So a business account, you can run ads, but you can also get a bunch of extra analytics. So, and you can have a link in your bio. I don't think that you can do that on a personal account. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm almost positive you cannot have an actual link in your bio on a personal. Someone double check me on that. But that's the advantage. So like, I like having what's called the creator account because it's kind of the best of both worlds. You get some of the business analytics and some of the business features, but you also kind of get some of the personal features as well. I'm a huge believer in linking your Instagram, your YouTube, and also having some kind of landing page or link tree like I was using there to have that as kind of the top of your lead funnel.
I would also just make note that you have to be careful in the type of business account you choose because one of the accounts, and I'm going to have to fact check myself on this, but doesn't allow you to use some of the trending sounds because of copyright issues.
Right.
So just be careful on the type of account.
And that was one of the reasons that I have a creator account, is because if I went full on business, I remember there being that caveat of some of those sounds were off limits. Whereas the creator account, it's like the personal account in the sense that you can use any sound out there, but you still get some business capabilities. So if you have, and I guess not everybody has access to that kind of account, but anything that to get a link in the bio is really one of the most important things.
Definitely. Okay. Thank you everyone so much. We did record this session. We will put it on YouTube. We will send you the link if you want to look back, rewatch, if you missed anything or you want to reference it at a later time. Nate, you have been absolutely amazing. Thank you for all of your tips and knowledge and for your hour of time instead of half hour.
For sure.
Thanks everyone. Have a good day.
See y'all.